Great, thanks everyone. So I spoke at Confluence last year. It was a fantastic conference. So I hope that you really enjoy it and get a lot out of it this year as well. So we're going to be talking about conversion optimization and ways to maximize your conversions. And we're going to talk about 35 different ways to do it. And these really work. And I'm not saying that you need to do every single one. You don't need to do these 35 different techniques. But if you do, say, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, it's very realistic to double your conversion rates. Very realistic. Now, something strange is happening in our industry. So for every $92 spent driving traffic to websites, we're only spending $1 converting that traffic as a marketing industry. And if you think about that, that's a bit backwards, right? Because we're spending all this investment to drive people there, and then right when we can convert them, at the very time that we can convert them, we're not spending any energy, any resources, any investment in doing that. That's a little crazy. So from my perspective, this really opens up a great competitive opportunity for you, right? If you're focusing in a very concerted way on maximizing conversions, either for your company or if you're an agency, for your clients, fantastic, because probably a lot of your competition is not. And so it's a great competitive strategic advantage for you. So a little bit about myself. So I'm the CEO of Strategy, which is a branding, marketing, and web design agency. And I'm the author of the book, Rethink Your Marketing, published last year. You can find it in Amazon. And at my last agency, I joined as the 85th employee and as director of digital strategy. Within 5 years, we grew it to over 700 employees. So very, very rapid growth. So hopefully, we'll be able to translate a lot of that today into learnings for you. So let's start off with the most important thing, which is your audience, right? We have to understand your audience. So let's look at audience segmentation, because if you're trying to be all things to all people, if you're treating your audience as one audience, you're not going to maximize your conversions. It's that simple. So let's segment your audience. And you can do it geographically, you can do it male, female, you can do it by age, so many different ways to segment your audience. So one example that I love is if you go on the Domo website, and I'm not sure if they still do this today, but what they used to do was they would self-segment the traffic on their website. And so you go on their website, and if you're a marketer, you click into the solution for marketers. And then everything that you experience on the website is specific to what you're interested in, whether it's the explanation of their product and how you use it, the use cases, the case studies, the testimonials. Everything is specific to you. And if you're in finance or if you're in operations, you get a completely different experience. That's smart, and that drives conversions. Now, let's go a level deeper. So we have audience segmentation, but then within each of these segments, we're going to have individual audience personas. And let me just see a show of hands. How many of you have documented personas for your different audiences where if I asked you right now to pull them up and show me, you could. So it's not in your head. It's actually documented, shared among your entire company. Can I see a show of hands? OK, so it looks like very few. So I speak around the country, and I ask this question at various conferences. Typically, the average response is 5%. 5% of the audience documents their personas. So again, another great opportunity for you, if your competition is not documenting their personas and it's not within audience segments, gives you great opportunity to have a strategic advantage. So here's the thing. Even if you are documenting personas, are you doing it effectively? So it's one thing to have a persona that says who it is, right? Who is that person who's visiting your website? Who is that person who you want to be your next client? But that's not the most effective way to do it. So instead of looking at the who, look at the why underlying the who. So we want to look at things like, why are they visiting your website? What are the problems? What are the specific problems that they're trying to solve? What would be the ideal customer experience while on your website? What specific actions do you need to see them taking on your site? What digital body language do you want to see on your website, right? And so let's just say we create a persona for Mackenzie here. You'll see, I don't even know if she's 30 years old. I don't know if she's 35. I don't know if she's 40. I don't know if she's 50. And I don't care. I really don't care. What do I care about? I care about why. Why is she coming to our site? What is she trying to do? And if I discover that, oh, she has a lot of pressure from the CEO to increase leads, and the problem is that she has all this data, but she doesn't know how to make sense of it, and the tech landscape is totally confusing to her, then I can start working with that, right? If all I know is that she's 35 years old and that she's in Chicago, there's nothing I can do with that. So once we understand who and why they're coming to our site, then we want to build user stories, right? And this is, some people refer to it as a customer journey. In the Agile world, they refer to it as user stories. And essentially all that is from the time that they have this problem, they have this need, what do they do? When is it then that they start having touch points with your brand? What drives them to your site? And then while they're on your site, what are they doing? What specifically are they doing? And what is the ideal experience that that specific persona has? So Mackenzie might have one specific experience on your website, and we have a different persona for Mike or Mary. They have different experiences, and we want to map out that user story for each persona. Very, very effective. So, okay, let's say that you get them to your site. Then what? So we have to communicate to them what's in it for them, right? We're very, very selfish creatures. We're very focused on solving our issues and what I'm trying to do right now. I mean, it's just the nature of human beings. And so let's address that very directly. What's in it for your site visitors? So let's say that I'm interested in CRM software, and I go to this website, and okay, so it's on-contact CRM software, a powerful all-in-one CRM solution. I call this dictionary marketing. It tells me nothing about what's in it for me. Nothing. Nothing. Think about that. You invest all this money, all this time, all this energy in a website, and you're not even telling me what's in it for me as I come to your site. All you're telling me is what you are. Well, I know you're a CRM software, right? And I'm also checking out 6 of your competitors who are also CRM software solutions. You don't have to tell me that right off the bat. Tell me what's in it for me. Why should I stick around? Why should I read more? Because I am comparing you to the competition. A better approach is Kissmetrics. So this is an analytics software company. I come to their site, get, keep, and grow more customers. Understand what people are doing on your website and products so you can deliver more of what's working. So instead of just saying we're an analytics company, we're an all-in-one analytics company, this is so much more powerful. This is all about what's in it for me. And it drives me to learn more. It drives me to click. So as you can see, we're still very, very focused on the audience. A lot of conversion optimization is understanding your audience and appealing to them and compelling them to want more, to want to engage with your brand, right? So one of the ways to do this is to know what they're interested in. And I mean this at a much more granular level than, say, a persona. So for example, we were called many years ago by a shampoo brand, Nexus. Nexus sells its shampoos in CVS or Walgreens for about $18, $20, $25 a bottle. It's kind of crazy, right? Most shampoo you can buy for $3 a bottle. So why is it that Nexus can charge that much money? And they said, well, it's because of our ingredients. The shampoo ingredients are just so magical. They're so awesome. They're so amazing. That's why we can charge so much. And so they called us up, and their request was, oh, can you give us a proposal for SEO? We want to drive more organic traffic to the website. And instead of just giving them a proposal for SEO, what did we do? We looked at their audience. Again, coming back to their audience and examining their audience and understanding what their audience cares about. What's in it for the audience, right? And what we found was through search data, through social data, through blog data, through content data, through sharing data, all this data that we put together. We even went through 6 months worth of fashion magazines and hairstyle magazines and celebrity magazines, everything that their audience would be reading. What we found was no one cared about shampoo ingredients. No one cared about conditioner ingredients. Very few people were searching on it. No one was sharing the information. It was really made for, the content was really for scientists. It wasn't for consumers at that time. And so what we found was really what they should be doing as a brand is focusing on hairstyles. Hairstyles is where it was at. There were over 20 million searches a year on hairstyles. Searching was through the roof. Sharing was through the roof. Bloggers were really into it. There was a lot of video. And so we completely transformed the website, right? Lots of videos, a whole website dedicated to hairstyles, an entire campaign. They even changed their TV advertising. They changed all of their print advertising to focus on hairstyles. So what does that do to conversions? We 10x the metrics across the board, everything. Whether you were looking at traffic to the site, whether you were looking at conversions, everything across the board. And it never would have happened if we had optimized what they had before, right? Ingredients. You can crush it on SEO and not generate business results if you're not aligned with what the audience is really interested in. Another way to look at your audience and to engage with your audience and to understand your audience better is to get feedback directly from them. Lots of different tools to help you do this. One is Quariloo, where you can ask contextually relevant questions on your individual pages. Drift is the fastest growing SaaS software company ever. And what do? They just help you interact and learn more from your clients. So here, they're addressing us by our company name. So they have IP recognition. They're addressing us by our company name. They even followed up afterwards with an email to me mocking up their software on our website. Even if you're looking at, say, an off-site brick-and-mortar store, it still works. So what Jerome's Furniture did was they implemented online chat, and instead of connecting it to a call center, which most companies do, they connected it to salespeople in the store on the sales floor. And so if you called up and you said, hey, I'm looking at this sofa, can I see the back of it? And they'd just walk over and take a photo, or they could take a video for you. And they say, oh, well, can you tell me about the texture? And they could go over and feel it, tell you about the texture. So what did that do? 10x increase in profitability from their website visitors. So again, get feedback from your audience and help that drive your communications and your engagement with them. So I mentioned IP detection, which Drift is doing. So there are many, many different ways to do this. Now, just to explain what this is, so this is helping you understand who is on your website. So it could be at the company level, it could be at a personal level. But if you're looking at Google Analytics, it tells you half of the story, right? It tells you how many people are visiting your site, or how many people are visiting a certain page, where they came from, where they go within your site, but it's not personalizing it for you. And so use IP detection software. We use a package called Lead Forensics, but there are many different applications out there. You can use HubSpot, you can use Lead Feeder, many, many different applications out there. Just Google IP detection software. And what it'll do is it will tell you exactly who is on your website, and you can even set up automated alerts so that it will tell you exactly who's on your website when they're displaying specific behavior. So for example, if I want to be alerted in real time, if a company is on our website and they've viewed 3 pages, at least 3 pages, you can set it up. And then you know exactly who's on your site, and better, you know exactly what they're doing on your site. You know exactly what they're interested in. You can see exactly what their navigational path is. Again, not in aggregate like Google Analytics will tell you, but on a more personal level, for this visit, where did they go? How long were they on each page? It's very, very powerful. And what's interesting is it can map it over time. And so if you want to know how a specific company is operating over, say, a 6-month period on your website, you can see everything they're doing. We had one client, they closed a few months ago. They came to our website 24 times before they closed, 24 times. And so if we're talking about conversion optimization, you can't just look at one visit, right? You can't just look at one visit and if they don't convert, call it a failure. No, especially in the B2B world, people are going to come to your site more than once. And so you need to have some type of a mechanism to capture that. So another fantastic way to drive conversions is through differentiation. And this is marketing 101, right? I mean, we all learned this our first year in marketing. Just make sure that you're clarifying how you're different than everyone else. What I love about the Organic Coop is they are the first USDA certified organic fast food chain in the country. Kind of crazy. But okay, that's their differentiation. Because otherwise, if I'm just seeing a chicken sandwich here, there are plenty of places where I can go for a chicken sandwich. Plenty, what, thousands, right? And so you have to differentiate in order to drive your conversions higher. This is one of my favorite ways to increase conversions, is looking at emotions and evoking an emotional response from your audience. So Antonio Damasio is a neuroscientist, and he ran really interesting studies on people who had damage to the part of the brain that triggers emotions. So in other words, these people couldn't feel emotions. They couldn't feel angry, they couldn't feel happy, they couldn't feel sad. And what he found was, because they couldn't feel emotions, they couldn't make decisions, including purchase decisions. So the way that we make purchase decisions is we do it emotionally, and then we rationalize it in our brain. This all happens at lightning speeds, right? But without that emotional part, without evoking an emotion in your audience, it's very, very difficult to get them purchasing your products on your site, or registering for your event, or downloading that white paper. And so evoke an emotional response to make it physically and mentally easier for them to convert on your site. Let's look at this in action. So this is an association management company. So in other words, they help associations to do their books, to do all their finances, their back-end operations, or to do their marketing, to drive membership higher, to manage their events. So I go to Jaffe Management, and it's comprehensive management solutions for associations and nonprofits. Again, dictionary marketing. Is this evoking an emotional response in me? No. And so do I have anything driving me towards engaging with them, filling out their forms, converting, contacting them? Nope. Same exact type of company. Virtual Inc. Make your mark on the world. Reimagine what's possible. Virtual strategic management, consulting, and execution ignites your organization's growth. Achieve more with virtual. So much more emotionally focused, right? It's not dictionary marketing. It's not telling you what it is. And the next frame does explain who their target audience is exactly, right? Associations, consortia, standards, organizations. And so you know that you're in the right place, but they first want to evoke an emotional response out of you. Very, very powerful. Next, let's look at the brain. 50% of the neurons in your brain are dedicated to the visual system. We are very, very visual creatures. In fact, the human brain processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text. So not 6 times faster, not 6,000 times faster, 60,000 times faster. And this ties into cognitive fluency and lots of different ways that it helps you to communicate and engage with your audience, and it helps them to want to respond to you, is through being highly visual in your marketing. Several years ago, this was documented in John Medina's book, Brain Rules, and I love sharing this. So several years ago, in the epicenter of wine country, Bordeaux, France, they brought 54 of the world's best wine tasters together, and they gave them a glass of wine. And they gave them white wine. However, before they handed the glass off to them, they just dropped in a few drops of odorless red dye. So it looked like red wine. It looked exactly like red wine. And they didn't tell these people what they were doing, and they handed it to them. And remember, these are the best wine tasters in the world. They're experts. Now, you have to understand that in wine circles, there's a very different vocabulary for white wine versus red wine. So if I asked you, describe this wine, and it's white wine, you would use very specific vocabulary to do it versus a red wine that I would hand to you. So when they handed off this white wine that looked red, guess how many of these experts, the world's best experts, guess how many of them guessed correctly that it was white wine? Yes, 0. 0, not 1. That's the power of vision. And so if you're very focused on text-based marketing right now, flip the switch. Go visual. It's proven over and over and over. It is much more powerful. And if you're looking to drive conversions higher, make it more visual. So while we're talking about the brain, let's look at mirror neurons. So a bunch of neuroscientists in Parma, Italy, years and years ago, were studying monkeys and monkey brains and monkey neurons. And they had all these nodes all over the monkey's brains, tracking their neural patterns. And one day, a graduate student, part of the team, walked into the room licking an ice cream cone. And the monkeys went berserk. They went absolutely nuts. And so the scientists thought, okay, well, maybe they're hungry. But, no big deal. But then what was really interesting was they looked at the actual neurons that were being triggered inside the brains of the monkeys. And it was the exact same neurons as if the monkeys were eating ice cream themselves. There was no difference, none. So what does that mean? That means if you want someone to convert on your website, what do? Don't tell them how great you are. Don't tell them how great your solution is. Don't tell them. Show them. Walk them through it. Think about storytelling, right? Mint.com, years ago, I remember happening upon Mint.com, and it's budgeting software, right? And I looked at all these other budgeting software sites, and they all had screenshots all over their websites, and they were filled with screenshots. And Mint was the only one who didn't. And what they did instead was they showed a picture of someone on the beach with a glass of wine enjoying herself, because she had achieved financial freedom. How? through excellent budgeting using their software. And so they were showing exactly what you could become. They were showing your aspirational self in their website. Very, very powerful stuff. And you see it all the time. You see it whether you're talking about P90X and losing weight and getting fit. A lot of before and after examples. Weight Watchers, the same thing. A lot of before and after examples. Home remodeling, a lot of before and after examples. Lots of ways to do this. So another fantastic way to increase your conversions is people's faces. And again, looking at the brain, there's something called the fusiform face area, which is a specific part of your brain where its only purpose is to recognize faces. So we have a part of our brain which is hardwired to hone in on faces. It can be very powerful in your marketing. So instead of showing an object, instead of showing your product, test whether showing faces in your marketing is more powerful. I'm not saying that it's going to work every single time, but it's certainly worth testing. Urgency. So this is one that you probably are already doing, or you've already known about for years and years, but even though it's marketing 101, bring some urgency to your message. We've seen a lot of examples of dictionary marketing where these companies are just saying what they do. Well, bring some urgency to it. Do you want them to contact you by a certain date? Do you have a limited supply of something? Only a certain number of people can get into an event. Bring some urgency to what you're trying to market. Now, let's talk about behavioral analysis. So this is reading the digital body language of your visitors to your website. And this is really important, and it amazes me how many companies still don't do this. But it's a fantastic way to increase your conversions. So imagine you're at a party, right? Or let's say tonight, you go to Confluence's party, and you're talking with someone. What are you doing as you're talking with them? You're going to be reading their body language, right? Because if you see that they're starting to fall asleep, okay, they're not really interested. Or if you see that they're really engaged, you know what they're interested in, right? And so you're constantly reading body language as you talk with anyone at any time. That's what we do as human beings. And it's crazy that, okay, we migrate this conversation to a website, and all of a sudden, all these companies don't do it. They don't read the digital body language anymore. Why not? Because if you're not reading the digital body language, how do you know what they're interested in? Yes, they visited the page, but did they like it? What was the experience like? You can look at scroll mapping, right? How far down the page did they go? This tells you a lot about, one, how interested they are with your content and how engaged they are, what drives them to keep scrolling, and also if you have important stuff that's lower on the page that only, say, 10% of your site visitors are seeing, bad news, right? You gotta rearrange the structure of your page. We can also look at click mapping, heat mapping, and hover mapping to see exactly what they're doing on the page. So where is their attention? Where are they spending time? Where is their cursor on the page? Session recordings. This is awesome. We love doing this. And what this is, so a lot of behavioral analysis software packages enable you to actually view recordings of your site visitors on your site, or if you're an agency, on your client's website. It's extremely powerful because in addition to all the aggregate behavioral analytics data, you can see actual people. These are not testers, right? They're not in a lab. These are your actual prospects coming to the website. And you don't know who they are. all you see is their cursor, right? And you can see what they're doing within your site. But it's amazing the insights that you can derive from that. So for example, here's an example from our blog, right? And typically with blog posts, what we notice is the behavior, the digital body language that people display is that they want to go up and down and up and down. It's a very vertical experience because, they want to read through, but then they want to jump ahead. They want to go back and reread something, then go back. And so it's very vertical. And here you're seeing that the person was going all over the map. They were going diagonally, they were going horizontally, they were going vertically, they were going everywhere. They were going off the main body of the page. What in the world were they doing? And this is a mapping of their cursor. And we think with our cursors. So if you're seeing a cursor doing this, you know that someone is deeply engaged. They're doing something. There's a lot of mental processing that's going on here. And what we found was the more videos that we would put into our blog post, the more that we would see this identical behavior. And what we realized was, mapping it to some other data, we found that adding videos to our blog posts really increased a lot of engagement, even if they didn't watch the video. That's the amazing thing. You would think you're going to measure engagement just by looking at video views, right? This was the amazing insight. We didn't have to. It had nothing to do with how many video views there were. A bunch of other things that you can do with behavioral analytics. So, for example, this is Hotjar. And I should mention, there are many fantastic applications to use for behavioral analytics. You can use Hotjar, which is great. You can use Mouseflow. We use Mouseflow a lot. There's Full Story, which gives you incredible insights. I believe it was started by someone who used to be at Google. Many different options. If you've never done behavioral analytics before, the name is escaping me right now, but I'll come back to it or I'll tweet it later. But if you look for behavioral analytics software packages, there are many out there, and they're really awesome. So here's an example with Hotjar where you can examine not only how many people come to your contact page or how many people come to a page with a form on it. Let's say it's a product page, right, or a webinar sign-up page. But you can see how they're interacting with your form. So where exactly are they dropping off? And you can see here, the big drop-off, there's a 40% drop-off as soon as they ask for your phone number. Simple solution to increase conversions. Get rid of the field that's asking for phone numbers. Right there, you're going to drive conversions higher. So not only within a form, we can also look across a website and across pages. So in this case, and this is looking at Mouseflow, we can look page to page to page. If you set up funnels within Mouseflow, you can see the conversion flow within your site and see exactly which pages are driving the abandonment. And then, on top of all this, filter your segments. So it's not a good idea to look at all of your traffic all in one aggregated lump, one mountain of data. What you want to do is segment. So first-time visitors versus returning visitors, very different. If you don't sell outside of the United States, filter your data so you're only looking at the United States. Combine form fields. Here's another example where just simplifying the process, making the cognitive fluency higher in your website is going to increase conversion. Instead of a form field where you're asking them to fill out 3 different fields, all for one piece of data, just have one field. Test your CTAs and whether you're going to use you language or me language. So create my account versus create your account. This can be very powerful. Again, with forms, use conditional logic. And so what this is if someone is displaying certain behavior at the top of the form, you're going to change the specific data and the requests that you have, the specific content that you have in the form, lower in the form. So you're contextualizing it for that specific visitor. So let's talk about CTA buttons for a minute. And I'm sure that all of you have spent a lot of time creating CTA buttons for your clients or for your company. Lots of different ways that you can test to increase conversions. Follow the magic, right? Instead of just click here, learn more, read more, follow the magic. Make it fun, make it interesting, make it engaging. I love this one. So Instapage, they help you build customized landing pages. So guaranteed to increase your conversion rate, the most powerful landing page platform for marketing teams and agencies. Build my page now. Can you get any better than that as a CTA button? It's a heck of a lot better than read more. And you can also give options, whether you're going to pay by PayPal or a credit card. You can always give options. And then with color, with your CTA buttons, you know, it really doesn't matter what specific color you use, whether it's green or red or orange or whatever it is. What I would advise you, though, is test contrast on the page. And your designer may hate it. Your designer may say, no, we can't use that color. But if there's high contrast, you tend to drive more conversions. I'm not saying every time, but it is something worth testing. And then, finally, with regards to CTAs, repeat your CTAs on the page. You don't have to just have one call to action on your page. As Hotjar does here, they repeat it over and over and over. You can even include it in the footer if you wanted. And then exit intent. So, for example, our agency is having a workshop in October. And so if you came to our website and then you tried to leave our website, we're going to hit you with a pop-up message of, hey, here's our workshop that we're doing. And then you can learn more about it. You can go to the workshop microsite, okay, if you're interested. But here's the thing. Instead of just hitting them with this, what we're doing is we're A/B testing. And you can A/B test lots of different conversion triggers on your site. So in this case, this has a lot of white in the background, and we test it against an image that's much more visual, it's larger, right? And so you want to test one thing, right? Test one thing, but make sure that you're A/B testing, and you're probably going to learn what converts higher than something else. Behaviorally triggered CTAs. So if you come to our blog, for example, if you scroll down the page about 80% or so, we're going to hit you with the option to sign up for our mailing list, right? It makes sense. It doesn't make sense to hit you with this call to action as you land on the page, because how do you know if you like the content? How do you know if you like the blog? But if you've scrolled down 80% of the page, chances are you're pretty engaged. You like the content. And so then it's contextually relevant. It makes sense, and it's a good experience for the person because they are interested in the content. We did this one change, this one CTA change, and it drove a 300% increase in mailing list opt-ins. Just that one change alone. Related content CTA. So let's say you have content. In this case, it's a blog post that we have, transforming your blog into a lead generation engine. Okay, so it's all about lead generation, right? Driving leads. So then if you read down to the bottom of the blog post, what do we have as the CTA? Ready to drive more leads, right? See how you can transform your lead generation results. So make your calls to action very contextually relevant to what's on that particular page. Cross-selling. If you're offering something and someone shows interest, if they express interest, if they take action towards purchasing something, show them more. So in this case, this is a meal delivery service. So if they pick something, if they pick a meal that they want delivered, show them others that are thought to be complementary to that. That, you know, it could be side dishes, it could be new, different meals that you think that they would like. Site speed. So moving away from CTAs, if we're just talking about the overall speed of your website, very, very powerful. Lots of different tools that you can use to measure the speed on your site. But it's been proven over and over. There are lots of tests online, which you can reference, where increasing your site speed or your page load time, decreasing your page load time and increasing your site speed helps you drive more conversions. There was a study done years ago where Amazon stated that for every 1 second increase in a delay in their website, in the page load time, they would lose $1.6 billion a year. And that was years ago, so it's probably up to maybe $2 or $3 billion right now. Think about that, just a 1 second increase in time. Social proof, another fantastic way to increase conversions. I love this example from Basecamp. So instead of just saying, oh, just last week 5,000 companies or 6,000 companies signed up for Basecamp, they're very, very specific. And specificity helps you drive more conversions. Why? Because it's more believable. It's much more believable. If I'm seeing a number that's that specific, then I'm sure they're telling the truth, right? Or at least that's what I think, naturally, intuitively. All right, let's talk about price for a minute. So price anchoring. So my first job out of college was at Panasonic in Japan. I actually lived in Japan for 6 years, and I worked at Panasonic. And one of the things which I was fascinated by was how they did pricing. And for every product that they rolled out, they would always roll out a second product, which was priced higher. And that was simply, they didn't expect anyone to buy it. They didn't care if anyone bought it. It was all for price anchoring to make it feel like the main product was really cheap, was really affordable, was a great deal. And it worked. You know what, Panasonic has what, over 300,000 employees? I mean, it really drove billions and billions of dollars of revenue. Pricing display. So while we're on the topic of price, how you display your price can also influence your conversions as well. And so in this case, there was a neuroscientific study done looking at the length of your price. And so do you have decimal points, right? Do you have commas? And the shorter you made your price, the cheaper it felt to the user. Even though these three prices, right, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000 are all the same exact price, $1,000 without any type of punctuation, decimal points, commas, things like that, feels cheaper. Now, that doesn't work if you're a luxury brand, right, and you're looking to project a luxury image, but for many brands, this is very powerful. And of course, A/B testing. So no matter what you're doing, out of all of these different recommendations which I provided you today, always A/B test, A/B test. It's always very surprising what you'll find, and often your intuition will fool you. And so it's always worth testing and just seeing what your audience really feels, what they actually do, and let the data speak for itself. And then go beyond your website. Don't just look at your website, go beyond. So if you use HubSpot or we use SharpSpring, it will provide you with personalized analytics to the person as what they're doing on your website and beyond. So for instance, if we're sending emails to someone and they're in our database, we can see exactly what they're doing within each of our emails and seeing exactly what they're doing on our website, and we can be alerted to it in real time. So we have this real-time information, which again helps us convert more. So don't just limit conversions to just looking at data on your website. And then finally, look at your conversion stack. So as you've seen, we use a lot of technology in increasing conversions. Why not capitalize on that? Well, there are over, over 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000 different marketing technology solutions on the market now, something like that. Make use of it, capitalize on the opportunity. And so all of these can help you increase conversions. We're running a lot of tests in Opt-in Monster right now, doing a lot of things with our clientele. It's very, very interesting seeing what the results are. And so it doesn't matter which technology you use. Test out different technology. They're all great. They're all useful. But the point is use technology to drive your testing at an accelerated pace and to do more. So thank you so much.